Welcome to Seldovia, Alaska, a quiet little fishing village on the southern end of the Kenai Peninsula here in Alaska that one very special weekend a year, lots of airplanes and good friends get together to make it, well, a little less quiet.
3, 2, 1, go!
Now, we might have got a little ahead of ourselves there, so we'll slow down just a second. The real fun began on Friday evening when everyone started showing up in Seldovia, and a few of us headed out for some fun on a few nearby gravel bars.
Seldovia traffic, red flight 170, flight of Ford, entering 34, departing eastbound Seldovia.
So our first trip was Kachemak Bay, actually an FAA-approved strip, not really quite a gravel bar, but still a fun little place to go in with a bit of a curved runway and quite an interesting approach and very beautiful bay that you're back inside there. After that, it was time to head on over to the Wozinski River, which I most definitely am mispronouncing, really for no other reason besides we love landing our airplanes in cool, new, beautiful places.
Just heads up, it's probably a 5 to 8 knot tailwind the way I just landed.
Oh, yeah, you really gotta hit your mark though, because it's water. There's a dip and then there's, water on the other end.
And after everyone was safely on the ground, we took a few pictures, stared at that incredible waterfall for a little while, and then loaded back up in the airplanes for the next spot. It was time to try out some beaches.
One's there further down.
This one's tidal, so I'm just going to roll over it first and just lay down some tracks, make sure it's all good, there's no hidden holes or anything.
Annie, you gonna drag it? How was it, John?
Oh, it was good.
I'll drag it.
And about this time, some of us had thirsty airplanes that needed to make a trip over to Homer to grab some more fuel. Some of us were just plain thirsty and had to head back to the bar in Seldovia. And Dooley and I hadn't quite gotten our fill of the beaches yet, so we hung out for a little while longer while everybody else headed on back to where they were going and played around just a little bit more. And it's probably worth mentioning that all those boats offshore there are called seiners. They're out there getting salmon. And if you happen to be in this area sometime around late July, early August, well, bring a fishing pole and a treble hook. It's an awesome place to land your airplane at low tide and snag some salmon.
They got a little fire going if we want to use it.
Oh.
Yes, that's correct. Some random people had left a fire going on the beach, and yeah, I can't think of anything any more awesome than that. Just a few random sticks tossed back on the coals, and we were nice and warm. So, needless to say, the best thing we found flying around that evening was that fire that was left behind for us there right on the beach. After throwing some more wood on it and warming up for a few minutes, we headed on back to Seldovia to enjoy some good drinks and good company over the Linwood before getting some rest for a nice day of friendly competition. So maybe I'm just a bad person, but I do have to admit there's something really nice watching Cubs do a stole competition with a tailwind. The winds were quite swirling in Seldovia that day, and with 8 to 10 knots on the tail, those numbers just aren't quite as impressive as they usually are at most of those stole competitions. Actually, when you really think about it, those numbers are still quite impressive, but it is interesting to see these guys get thrown off a little bit as they're used to putting that tail down after just a few seconds, and well, the airplane just wasn't quite ready to fly in that case for most of them with that tailwind blowing down the runway. The first few heats of the day were pretty squirrely winds, lots of go-arounds, which was great. Safety first, always good. And by heat number 4 for the experimental bush class, when it was my turn to go in the Bearhawk, things had calmed down a little bit. There was pretty steady winds at that point, right down runway 16, 10 to 12 knots. And I was pretty excited to get out there and see if I could put up some better numbers than I did in Squintin now that we've got the new VGs on the Bearhawk.
Seldovia traffic, red Bearhawk, clearing runway 16. 7-2. Ooh, I'll take that one.
So yeah, I'll take those numbers. I was pretty happy with that. Definitely the winds helped out later in the afternoon there, and overall in the experimental bush class, the Bearhawk came in 5th out of 6. I was just happy not to be in last place, but pretty hard to compete with the 43-foot takeoff from Toby and a 43-foot landing from Butch. That finished up the stole competition, and then it was time to move on to stole drag, which you guys saw a little bit of earlier, me versus Green Bean in the 172, and then it was time for me to go up against Jeff Oliver, 61 North, in his Maul, and finally progressed on to the final round, which came down to me and Toby in his Carbon Cub. And here's how that final round went.
Winner's bracket, here we go. 3, 2, 1, go.
Toby has it. Toby first place, John second, Jeff third. That was close. Good race, John.
Yeah, that was fun, man.
And that was our fly-in. Before you know it, the ramp clears out, everyone heads home, and Seldovia goes back to being just another quiet little coastal town on the southern end of the Kenai Peninsula. But I think I speak for all of us when I say I'm really looking forward to next summer, the 3rd weekend in July, when our quiet little coastal town gets just a little bit noisy.